Alright, we're going to do another example of method 2, more complicated. Just to go over the steps again quickly, we will find equivalent fractions for each of our original things. Then we're going to make those fractions. Once they have the common denominator, we're going to turn them into proper or improper fractions if we need to, getting rid of mixed fractions. And then we're going to just order by the numerator from least to greatest is our third step. And our final step would be to change back to the original forms. Alright, this example, I actually have 5 different numbers that I'm going to need to be ordering, and it's going to be from least to greatest. First step, find equivalent fractions with common denominator. But before that, there's another step that we might need to do, is changing these decimals into fractions. Looking at this 2.5 or 2.5, I think, hey, that's 2.5. I already know that 0.5 is a half, so I can write that down here. And this 2 over here, that's just the same thing as 2. We're going to save that for later. This 2, I could make a denominator, any denominator I wanted. So just looking at our denominators now, we've got a 4, we've got a 2, we've got an 8, and an 8. We notice that those are all numbers that are multiples of 2. We know that we could change this into one that's 8, and the 4 could turn into an 8. I prefer to move up to the biggest one because I will not run into issues there. So what I'm going to do here, after I've changed my decimals to fractions, is try to change everything to have this common denominator of 8. That's why I've written my 2 as 16 over 8. If you think about it, 16 is 2 times what 8 is. So if you have 8 over 8, that would be 1, and another 8 over 8 would be 2, and 8 plus 8 is 16. So this is why I wrote this in here. The next step, we're going to be changing it to have a common denominator. So looking at my first fraction, 2.25. To make this quarter an eighth, I need to multiply it by 2, and anything you do to the denominator, you need to do to the numerator to make sure that it's still equal. So we'd have 2, and it would be 2 over 8. 2 and 2/8. This one, we have a 2 on the bottom. 2 times 4 would make 8, so we need to multiply the top by 4, and we'd end up with 2 and 4/8. Here, we already have it as 8, so I'm just going to leave it as is. This one already has 8, I'll leave it as is. Everywhere I haven't written anything, it just means that it's carrying down, that we didn't have to do anything to it. And 16/8, it's already like that, so we'll just carry it down to our next step. Our next step is to get rid of mixed fractions. So we have 2 here that are mixed fractions, and we're going to get rid of those. To go from a mixed fraction to an improper fraction, you take your denominator, multiply it by this coefficient in front, and then add the numerator. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 2 is 18. So this would be 18/8. Here, 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20/8. And then the rest of these just carry down still, so I'm just going to write these in so that we can see them down here all in a row. Now that we all have 8s at the bottom, we need to just order the numerators based on how big the numerators are. Order these fractions by numerator from least to greatest. So start with least, go to greatest. Sometimes that'll be switched. It's not here. So looking at these, we have 16 as our lowest numerator. So I'm going to write that one first, 16 over 8. Next lowest, we have 2 that are actually equal. How I like to show this is put these 2 in brackets. Okay, so I'm going to put an 18 over 8 and an 18 over 8. I put it in brackets in the list just to say that those are actually equal. And then 19 is the next biggest number. And then finally 20. Okay, so these are not equivalent to these. It's not in a row or a column anymore. These ones are just them put into order now from least to greatest. You'll see 16, 17, 18, 18, 19, 20. They're in order. And finally, we're going to put it into original terms. So 16 over 8, let's find it in the step before. 16 over 8 was 2. So let's start with 2. Then we'll put comma. We know the next 2 we'll put in brackets. Doesn't matter which order you put these, so let's find our 18 over 8. There was one 18 over 8 here, which that's how it was originally written, and our other 18 over 8 was 2 1/4. Then find our 19 over 8 somewhere here. 19 over 8 was written as 19 over 8 in the first, so we just write it again. And 20 over 8 was written as 2.5 originally, so we'll put 2.5. And so that is our answer in original terms. There's different ways you can verify or check. A quick way would be maybe to try to do it with decimals, which would be method 3, or you maybe could do it with benchmarks by drawing a number line. That would be a way to verify.